Good morning. I'm calling the special meeting of the Cambria Community Services District Board of Directors to order. It is 10:02. Please stand and join me for the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We do have a quorum. All directors are present. Since this is a special meeting, we're going to take public comment on the agenda items only as we get to each of the agenda items. So Mr. McElhaney, would you please go ahead and introduce agenda item 3?
3A.
3A, sorry.
Yes, Madam President. Agenda item 3A, discussion and consideration of adoption of resolution 54-2023, declaring an emergency and authorizing immediate expenditure of funds to repair the east-west village transmission line failure and approving the budget adjustment. It is staff's recommendation to the board of directors discuss and consider approving this resolution. The fiscal impact, we're waiting for an official estimate. We do have some bids coming in, but we anticipate the costs anywhere between $100,000 to $200,000 for the repair. That includes labor, materials, and the necessary road repair. During the leak of that water main, it actually lifted up Main Street, making some of our ADA accessible ramps no longer accessible. It's pushed up about 2 to 3 inches, which is quite a bit of a hazard. In addition to that, water has been restored to the community except for Mechanics Bank. And so there is no way to restore water to that facility. We have rented porta potties for them and dropped off a decent amount of water. I did speak with their facilities and resources manager, but the only way to restore water, and it's a public health issue, is to do this as soon as possible.
Okay.
And then I do have our utilities manager, Jim Green, here to follow up with any further detail.
Thanks, Mr. Green. Did you have any more details you wanted to add to this?
Great. Yeah. Well, we saw the scope of it. It was rather large. It crosses 40 feet of Main Street at a critical intersection there at the East-West Village. It was an old Caltrans road at one time, the old Highway 1. So Caltrans likes to sleeve or protect their infrastructure by putting our infrastructure in a vault or in a pipe, therefore making it inaccessible to make the repair there. So right now that line is abandoned. We will have to install a new one. It's a loop system, which helps keep the water fresher throughout there. So now we have essentially created 2 dead ends. Water coming directly from our Pine Knolls tank is being held by 1 10-inch valve right there, putting us in kind of a precarious situation, which also makes matters more expedient as far as making a permanent repair there. And then obviously the health and safety violation we have, or not violation, but the health and safety issues we have with providing the bank potable water. Also, our chief concern is to get water back to the bank as soon as we can, and then restore that line and the distribution system flow and engineering of it correctly. And then, of course, repairing the roads and getting the gradient back together. So that way we can have correct flow during storm water. And I mean, it's a nice section of road there. It's very well traveled. So we want to make sure we get that up and meet county standards. We've had meetings with county roads describing what they want us to do and how they'd like to see it repaired. And obviously we're going to have to shut this down again to make the repair.
Okay. Does anybody on the board have questions for clarification for Mr. Green or Mr. McElhaney? Yeah. Director Scott.
Thank you, Madam President. So what you're saying is the cost will be between 100 and 200,000. So I would request that if it's any more than 200,000, that we get to hear about that and make that decision.
Very good. Yeah, we're asking for a little bit more just because, again, when you get underground, you're uncertain what's there, what obstacles you don't know until you get there.
How much are you asking for?
100 to 200. We're thinking just the verbal quotes that I've had are around 100,000 or just south of 100,000.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. If it's more than 200,000,
yes,
I really want to be able to make a decision about that.
We'll be able to provide you whatever itemized, not accepting a change order, but whatever cost would increase that above that threshold.
Okay, and that would be at an open board meeting.
Tim, if you could clarify, but if we have to hold another special meeting, then we'll do that to bring it before you, so you
Okay.
can make that decision.
Great.
Anything over 200 would have to come back to you anyway at a public
Okay,
meeting.
great, thank you.
Okay, we need to bear in mind too, this is an emergency.
Right, no, I just want to
Yeah.
clarify that.
Okay, Director Farmer.
Yeah, Joe, I'd like to ask you, what is the time frame that well, first off, how is what has happened affecting the flow of traffic on Main Street right now? And would you anticipate ultimately doing this repair, and how long would it take?
Okay, great. I'll start out. We anticipate doing the repair if this follow through with this is for Tuesday. So again, we'd have a complete shut off where we'd isolate basically from Main Street and Cambria Drive all the way up to Croydon. Again, that's our
To
main,
where?
to Croydon.
Right.
Yeah, basically at the edge of Lamert right there. And that's just the isolation valve we have. We have two separate lines that feed into that. So unfortunately, that's a pretty large footprint to shut off and isolate again. We affect many businesses and a couple residential areas as well. So this would be a pretty much 8 to 5 shutdown one day for us to install and then make the interconnections there. The following day would be to button up the roads and get that back to gradient and get that back to as much as original condition as possible.
Yeah.
So it's a 2-day project with another 1 full day of shutdown. That 1 full day of shutdown would be Tuesday.
And there'll be greater impacts in terms of fire hydrant access too. So I've been working with the fire chief. We have a water tender on standby. Because all of those hydrants will essentially be dead all the way up to Croydon, which for us in this remote area, their fire engine holds about 750 gallons, maybe get a water tender between 500 and 1,000 gallons, but they can go through that pretty quickly. So another consideration will be potentially contracting for a water tender, depending on the availability within county.
Yeah.
But
Also, some things we do internally is we fill our tanks up to the top. And so that way we have majority of water. We're still pumping throughout the day, so it doesn't affect our production at all. And the roads are currently open with no obstructions or any lanes closed since the repair event.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Grant, I appreciate that. So it was pretty detailed, just what we needed.
Director Thomas, did you have any questions?
It's very clear.
Yeah.
Okay, Vice
Yeah,
President
Yeah,
Gray?
thank you. I had one question about getting back to the estimate, the cost estimate. It sounds like you're thinking it's probably at 100 and but you're thinking of all the uncertainties. It could be 200. Are you comfortable that 200 is enough? Because I suppose we could authorize more if we have to, because it sounds like a lot of moving parts in this repair. And I don't want to be in a situation where we're in the middle of something. We have to have an emergency meeting and go over, increase the amount. So I want to make sure you're very confident that 200 would cover everything.
I am confident. Yeah, that will cover everything. That'll be roads, that'll be traffic control.
And then
during the
contingencies and
repair
all that. Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Sage advice.
is it necessary to build any more contingency into that? I mean,
we could.
unforeseen,
Yeah, we
even if
could.
we didn't use it,
Right.
would you think, if we went up to a half a million, 250,
Or
300,
300 or something like that, because
would that give you?
It's a water tender. Does that include the water tender?
all these what ifs, all these things
Yeah.
I have to do.
Yeah, that I don't know. That may be an option for us, depending on, meeting with the fire chief and figure out, what his thoughts are in terms of dispatch levels and where that water tender will be, but.
I'm pretty confident with that number.
Okay.
At
Pretty confident.
200, yeah.
Okay,
We can go higher, but it's not. There's no-
Is there any harm in bumping that up?
Bumping it up, I mean-
Significantly, just in case?
No, there's no downside.
Yeah, I'd rather take it up to 300 maybe. I was just throwing out a number there.
okay, so let me
Just
hear
give
what
A
everyone,
lot of headroom with this thing.
what does everybody else have to say about that? Director Thomas?
This is a must do.
Yes,
Right, they will, you'll trench the entire,
It will be
Span of the
trenched,
line.
yes.
you'll have 2 tie-ins.
Right.
A lot can go wrong to tie-ins, but you've opened up both ends already.
We have, yeah.
So you already have a visual
Right.
of where you're gonna tie in.
Right.
So, because that's a big uncertainty in these kind of jobs. So you reduce that uncertainty. But this is a must do. And Tom's point is valid. If something unforeseen happens, there's, it comes to us for a decision, the really only viable decision is for us to repair this line.
Yeah.
Okay. Director Scott?
I'm fine with that. I want to have a really concrete number at this point, as concrete as it can be, so that we're just not saying, yeah,
Yeah.
go buy yourself a Ferrari.
No pun intended, right?
Right,
I think,
that's right.
and Tim will remind me on how we can update these numbers, but I think we can do it as soon as next board meeting on the 19th, if we get all of our quotes in. It's something that we can.
You're gonna have to report back every regular meeting from here on. So
Okay.
that'll be the opportunity. Yeah, once you declare this emergency, it has to be repeated at every meeting until it's terminated.
I think at least by some point, we'll have an update in terms of as more quotes come in with more specific numbers, because then we'll be able to update.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, Director Farmer?
No, I'm good. I just want to clarify. So next week, you're going to be doing the repair of the line.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tuesday, you said Monday and Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll be looking at full road closure there at that intersection, unfortunately during business hours and probably affecting some of the scarecrow viewing. But that will be Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
So yeah, we'll have traffic control on site. We'll notify CHP, CDF, of course, our fire department internally. We're even gonna advertise on Bob FM, so that way it can get some radio airplay. Just for those coming into the area, perhaps listening, or some of the locals that listen, so that way those who aren't in tune with logging into our website or, calling our number for updates, that we can at least advertise that and get that out. And then, of course, we'll go door to door at businesses and let them know.
So road closure Tuesday and Wednesday.
Correct, yeah. Potentially Thursday as well to do finished grading, and, we'll have to paint and stripe it and get the indicator marks all back up to county standards as well.
Okay.
I just want to say this much, I like to call you Jim, but it's like official, so it's Mr. Green. I just want to thank you for bringing us all the information that we needed to hear as efficiently as possible. Plus, and I know that President Dean has already acknowledged the hard work that the staff has done by bringing you guys refreshments, if you know what I mean.
Thank you so much.
A lot of cookies, but I just wanted to thank you for us and for the community for how quickly you've dealt with this situation in as effective a manner as possible. And it says a lot about the staff, so thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate
So
it.
how will traffic be affected on Main Street then?
There'll be pedestrian cars will be rerouted around Pine Knolls to Hillcrest. And just that section of road will be shut off, so it's unfortunate. Just there's not too much business in there besides the bank. You can still access the bank through Pine Knolls. That entrance there will block off the exit, obviously, in that little corridor between Cambria Drive and Pine Knolls. And then there's some parking right there by the library and so forth. So any of those in that kind of business plaza right there by Medusa's can park adjacent to the facility, fairly close, not obviously in front of it, because that's where the work will be being performed. So there'll just be, a short walk, but the businesses will be open and
And the vets hall will be accessible?
the vets all be accessible.
We have a meeting on Tuesday.
It's just that block of Main Street. then,
Yeah, just that one
Cambria
block.
Drive
Okay.
to
Yeah.
Pine Knoll.
Yeah, it's just under 100 yards. So
Yeah.
think about a football field
Yeah.
of traffic area, about 2 lanes wide, that'll be impacted.
Okay, we need to take public comment before we
Very
move
good.
to a motion. Is that why you're here?
Not on this, no.
Not on
I have
this.
one more question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this resolution doesn't have an amount.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Do we need to have that?
Do we need to have the dollar amount in this resolution, Mr. Carmel?
It's well, if they haven't given it to you, it's exhibit A to the resolution. Right now it reads $200,000 as the budget
okay.
adjustment. But
Right.
we're now changing that to $300,000. So
That's what
in the motion, you may want to say, adopt a resolution with an amendment to exhibit A from 200 to 300.
Okay. Okay, do you have any public comment on Zoom?
Yes, Tina Dickinson.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Dickinson.
Thank you, President Dean. I did have a concern when I saw this special agenda, and there was no dollar amount, well, how can you look at a budget adjustment if you don't know what the dollar amount is? I don't think I recall in the past a budget adjustment without having a dollar amount. So if Mr. Green is saying 100 to 200,000, 200,000 being the max, it would seem that since he's the one that's getting, I assume he is, and maybe the general manager receiving the bids, I would think that the 200,000 should be the maximum, because as like one of the other directors, maybe it was Director Scott or maybe it was Mr. Carmel. Mr. Carmel, I believe, said, you know, you have other meetings coming up, regular meetings where you can be addressing, or if need be, a special meeting. So to go beyond that, but I think what this issue reminds me of, and with the many other issues with this not just age, it's aging, but it's ancient almost infrastructure, is that this has got to be the number one CIP. When you look at that list what the R&I committee had a couple of weeks ago, it was ridiculous to see how many CIPs that are not necessary is coming before us, which is the foremost item that this district has to deal with: water and wastewater. I mean, if you don't start taking this seriously as a board and general manager, then I don't know what kind of a mess this town is going to be in. And so I think that this again is another warning as to where this district really needs to pay some attention. $350,000 restrooms are not important on the East Ranch. Other items that we think we need to spend money on are not important, but delivering water safely to this community is a high priority, the highest priority. And so I would hope that in the future that the board starts looking at this more seriously, because it is serious. One other thought was for people traveling from North Cambria, always go up to taking Highway 1 south to Burton and accessing the East Village that way. So there is an alternate way of getting, around to the East Village, and bypassing, of course, the area that is being worked on. I just really want to thank the water and the wastewater department. Couldn't have been easy at all, and they've dealt with it efficiently and professionally. I want to thank them for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dickinson. Do you have any more public comment?
Yes, Elizabeth Benhausen.
Go ahead, Dr. Bentonhausen.
Yes, I want to take this opportunity to thank the staff of the water and wastewater, and probably others that I don't know. I fortuitously was walking at the site of the flood, and then an hour later, I'm walking back, and I stopped and talked with people and took photos, which have been very well received on the internet, on social media. But I want to thank especially the wastewater, but not only the wastewater, for being on site. This was a flood, and the dimensions of this flood are to be taken very seriously. As I'm impressed, the details are already being handled well by a utility manager Green, and the meeting to have the major repair on site done a week from when it was hit is just amazing. I hope it all works. To be vile, I hope it all works. But the management of the wastewater, and especially the wastewater and the water department, have been excellent. I think the questions about how much, Mr. Carmel, when he read 200 to 300, and it was only 1 to 2 in the original. So I'm still a little confused as to what your motion is and why. But I thank you again for excellent work, because no, it was excellent work, but it has started. The repair of 50-year-old infrastructure has started. And that means, the way I put it, it is going to continue. And no matter what we've got for cameras to look up the pipes, et cetera, we have before us now an infrastructure problem. And we better figure out ways to deal with this handily, because otherwise we are going to run up against the harsh problem of no water, period. So I thank you again. I wish you well, because you're going to need it. That's erroneously put. We are going to need it. And for that, I give the men, all the men on site, my hearty, hearty thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Bettenhausen. I'm sorry.
No need to be sorry. I wanted to ask Mr. Green a question.
Can we finish public comment first?
Oh, my apologies. I thought that was it.
Do we have any more public comment?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So, Mr. Green, let me ask you, first off, as Bettenhausen was alluding to the flood, do we have any idea approximately how much water was lost?
The volume we lost that day was over 200,000 gallons.
Yeah, it's mentioned in the.
This is another point I want to bring up about emergency response from our on-call operators. You know, we have a wastewater and a water operator on call 24 hours a day. The key part to this, like anything, was early response. Unfortunately, with the several different lines, it took us a while to get that isolated and stopped, but we were on site shutting off valves within 15 minutes of notification, which helped reduce that. I mean, it's a catastrophic loss. I mean, 200,000 gallons is about 2 of our tanks put together at our smaller locations.
Right.
So again, the more water that flows, the more damage it's done, the more costly it is to repair. So about once a year, we have a main or a transmission main problem. So I don't think we have a huge infrastructure problem per se with our distribution system. This was a very unique situation. Like I mentioned before, Caltrans makes you sleeve or put your infrastructure in a vault. The pipe was not supported properly underneath that, and we believe that's the cause of the failure there. The rest of our mains, the other 99%, are well encased in sand and compacted in base, which helps keep that pipe and those transmission lines intact, even in seismic events. That helps. Whereas this is just kind of floating freely in 20-inch, half-inch steel thick casing. So
One other question.
Yes, Director Thomas.
Thank you, Madam President. Do we have cathodic protection on the water lines?
yeah, we get our cathodic protection inspected every year. Yes, we have it at all of our tanks, and we just updated. They're about 15 to 20 years old. One of them was aging out at our Stewart Street tanks. They're being replaced anyways, but we don't need any more catastrophic failures. So we went ahead and replaced the cathodic protection this year in August. And we'll go ahead and remove that and put it on the new tanks when they're installed. But yeah, we update and monitor our cathodic protection annually.
Right, in the pipeline industry, there is some extent of common problem where pipes are cased under railroads and under highways, within that casing, especially at the ends, because the cathodic protection cannot get to the pipe. So that's been for decades an issue. So.
Okay. Is there any more questions or comments? Director Scott?
Yes, I'm a little uncomfortable with the resolution not saying the amount.
It's on the back, on the very back. It's like,
I know that's how it is, but we're accepting the resolution and it doesn't say.
I believe when,
You could change the,
That's, yeah.
yeah,
we'll be
you
able-
understand what
We can do that, yes.
Mr. Carmel has an answer for you.
Okay, good.
If you look at the last operative clause, the one that says be it further resolved that pursuant to Government Code Section 61-111A, the fiscal year budget is hereby amended as shown in Exhibit A, attached here to and incorporated in by reference.
Right.
I think that makes it a part of the resolution itself. So it actually is in the resolution.
Oh,
That
Okay.
that exhibit A is part of the resolution, so the figure is in the resolution. It's just not in the resolution proper, it's in the exhibit to the resolution, but it has the same effect legally.
And this is the exhibit to the resolution, so we would amend that to be 300,000.
Okay,
I can make a motion. if you want.
yeah. Let's
Okay,
get
Take a
it
crack at a motion?
ironclad. Thank you.
Are we?
yes, go ahead.
Thank you, President Dean. Yeah, I move that the board adopt resolution 54-2023 declaring an emergency and authorize the immediate expenditure of funds to repair the east-west village transmission line failure and approving a budget adjustment with the amount in Exhibit A changed from $200,000 to $300,000.
Second,
Okay, we have a roll call, please.
Vice President Gray.
Aye.
Director Scott.
I,
Director Thomas.
Aye.
Director Farmer.
Aye.
President Bean.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
could I just say something?
Sure.
This is not that I don't trust you, okay? This is just my taking responsibility for my responsibility.
Yes. No, I appreciate that you take it seriously
Yeah.
and vet, what we have and not just take everything at face value. So, yeah.
Okay. Moving on, would you introduce the closed session, please, Mr. Carmel?
Thank you, Madam President. The board will now adjourn to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B. The board is meeting in closed session solely to determine whether to hear an appeal of an employee dismissal or to delegate the matter to an administrative law judge. The employee's name will not be disclosed in order to protect their privacy rights. Thank you.
Thank you. And we need to take public comment on this, correct?
We do.
We do. Do we have any public comment on this item? I believe we have someone here in person.
Right, hi,
Your name?
Brian Weil.
Okay.
First off, thank you for, well, I know I'm entitled to be here for the community, but it's my pleasure to attend this special meeting. I live at 5340 Guildford Drive. I bought about 2 years ago. I'm actually here to relay a question from my neighbor, Peter Breedy, and it may be on this very point. He had a question with respect to dismissal for the fire chief. And just wanted to know whatever information could be provided relating thereto.
Okay. This is a personnel matter and the board cannot discuss personnel issues.
That's fine.
We will be coming back with a report from closed session.
We will.
We will. So,
Sounds good. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, do we have anybody on Zoom?
No,
Okay, and nothing written.
I do have written comments for you.
Okay,
The written comment is from Christine Heinrichs to the board. Is hearing an appeal the sole alternative to turning an employee dispute over to an administrative judge? Please seek to reason and find a settlement before taking the district into court again. Mediation can be a path to resolving conflict and moving forward. Be committed to finding the best solution possible. Going to court is expensive and sets the district and the employee up as enemies. It's an admission that both sides have failed. Turning the decision over to a judge risks the outcome. Take the high road, commit to resolving this dispute, overcome differences. Intractable dispute reflects poorly on all. Christine Heinrichs.
okay. Do we have any more public comment?
No, Tina Dickinson just raised her hand.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Dickinson.
I know, I recognize that this is a personnel item. I recognize that it's a closed session item. I, for one, do not have much of a problem figuring out who the individual is. In fact, the prior speaker at public comment mentioned the name of. I think in this, I do believe that the district is taking the right course of action. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comment?
No.
No, okay. Seeing none, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn to closed session. And we will be coming back with a report following closed session. And I believe we will be repeating the report from closed session during our afternoon's meeting as well. It won't be, Mr. Carmel?
That's correct, Madam President.
Okay, great. So we're gonna go ahead and adjourn to closed session. And thank you.